Great morning, everybody. Hey, wherever you are, great morning, great day, great evening. Glad that we're here together. Looking forward to this session. The markets are moving. There's obviously a lot to discuss. We're going to put it all together and see what's going on. We're going to see the market may be moving. Some people are holding certain positions. That's all well and good. Let's see if any new ones are presenting themselves or whether or not it's right. Everything is just too volatile. Better to stay on the side. I don't know. Let's take a look over here. But a couple of things to take note of, some things that I did not expect and probably you did not expect. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look together. I don't know what that pause is. What's going on, TradingView, this morning? Let's figure out what's going on in TradingView. The thing that I want to show you, I want to start off with the equity markets over here. All right. By the way, Russell is up limit 7%, halted. Look at that candle over there. That's two new all-time highs, right? So if you look at the S&P 500 also, that's also two new all-time highs, right? So you have the S&P trading at all-time highs. You have the Russell trading at all-time highs. Look at that line. What else? The Dow up 6%, trading at what? At all-time highs. Well, what about the Nasdaq? Surely the Nasdaq's trading at new all-time highs. If the Russell is, if the Dow is, if the S&P is, and the Nasdaq is not trading at new all-time highs. That's just something that I don't think that myself or anyone else up until today would have speculated would happen or could happen in 2020, right? We have, instead of the Nasdaq leading the way to new all-time highs and then the S&P finally playing catch up, but the Russell and the Dow never making it, now we have all indexes making new all-time highs except the Nasdaq. Interesting. Also interesting is just how price reacted to the vaccine news over here. You could see initially the Nasdaq traded down. Why is that? Because during the pandemical situation, obviously tech was the beast, right? Is that going to continue? Or now that there's a vaccine, is all of a sudden FANG rolling over for good? Right? I'll let you decide. So we're going to get into the price action a little bit in a second over here. So first of all, just be aware that what you're seeing today is the market doing what the market does best. It is reacting to a new news that has hit the market. Now, how new it is, I don't know. If you watched the first presidential debate, this was the exact timeline given. So it seems like it's right on time. Nevertheless, the market tends to overreact to both the upside and the downside. What is it pricing? The Nasdaq looks like it's figuring out pretty quickly, and people came in there and said, you know what? The tech is down on this. That's a buying opportunity. Yeah. Dollar now unchanged on the day. Dollar was trading up on the news, now is rolling over. Gold, silver, really feeling the pinch today. We're going to look at that and see whether or not that is just presenting an opportunity, or you believe that gold and silver are now going to roll over because the debts and deficits are going away. And Bitcoin did a lot of being Bitcoin throughout all this announcement. It didn't really care as everything did react. All right. Yeah, great. No one's disputing. The results are great of the Pfizer's trial. The results are super fantastic. There's nothing in that data where you could be like, well, it seems very good, very positive. How long or effective that is, no one got into that, right? We know that we don't know how long people's are able to remain, I don't want to say immune, but fight off the COVID once they've had it. Good news though, all around. Kips, good morning to you. Glad you're here. I'm going to start to define the flow of the weekend. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the S&P 500, go back to the 8-hour time frame now. I'm going to start going through everything. I'm going to see what is presenting itself, and then we're going to take a look at that right now. So here in the S&P 500, first of all, let's rewind this and just clearly reassess where we were on Friday. On Friday, there was no way that I was looking to pick up a position ahead of this weekend. Right? Now, I have to be quite honest. I did not expect that type of reaction on Monday morning, but we were looking, right, on a break of this trend line over here for what? to be like, all right. So a lot of people this morning, there are people who are like, this move is too far overdone. Does that sound familiar? Because we've been hearing that like ever since April. That move is too far overdone. That move is too far this is the last of the melt up over here. From my analysis, once we crossed over this trend line, at that point, the risk to reward on the equity markets became favorable once again to actually be participating. Now, if you remember, it was at the first week of August where I said, all right, the markets are actually a little crazy. We met all our profit targets, and it's time to get out neutral on the markets. And now I'm being like, all right, above this level, they look like, there's a lot more potential upside over here now. So going against the grain, but as always, now what about today? We're up like, since that happened though, that's, what are you looking at over there? Is that a 4% move? 4.5% move? Yeah, it seems like it got away from me, right? Well, that's fine. That just means that, what does that mean? That means that there's absolutely no play here whatsoever for myself in the near term. Okay, maybe that will change tomorrow. Maybe it'll change on Friday. Who knows? Eventually it's going to change, but I'm not going to go ahead after getting the breakout of the area that we're looking to say, all right, now it makes sense to be participating in equities. There's a lot more room to the upside after the breakout of this big pattern we saw over here. Well, it's up 4% on that breakout, on that huge news over there for the vaccine. I'm just going to let it do what it does and figure it out. But I'm going to just observe. And all I'm saying is now above that line, well, that's very bullish for myself. What about on the Nasdaq? So Nasdaq, obviously looks a little bit more promising, and that's just from an entry standpoint, right? So Nasdaq, we also broke out here to the upside, right? Nasdaq broke out. It's already putting in a retest. And if you just go ahead, I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. But you could see that it's putting in the retest. And this is what's important, holding above that trend line. So it looks like out of the two, right? Both bullish, both showing bullish technical price action. Nasdaq's actually closer to a point where maybe it would present itself an entry. I'm not chasing all the way up to the nosebleed section on the S&P 500. Same thing, I'm just going to pull back on the Dow. So new all-time highs. Okay, I like that. I like actually looking when indexes start making new all-time highs. They're in their sweet spot, right? Now you have a lot of people who just continually pick tops. That's the worst thing to do, right? And if you're one of those people today being like, oh, the equity markets are exploding higher, I should short them, then just reevaluate what you're doing here because you're trading against the tide. Dow making new all-time highs. Am I going to touch it? Clearly not, right? This is like easy work today. And then the Russell's, new all-time highs up 7%. Well, let's see what happens when they open and see whether or not that continues making gains or falls back towards reality. But the only thing worth even tracking right now is the Nasdaq for a potential entry sometime. Not yet, but nothing else going on the equity markets except for a huge bullish day today, breaking out of these top trend lines. Something that we were looking for to happen. Not trying to time when it would happen, but saying when that did happen, that looked like then the equity markets really have a lot of room on the upside and are looking very healthy. That's what's happening. Before we get into gold and silver, we need to look at the DXY. Now, it came up where the question might be, how do I use the DXY into my analysis? Like, trading FX, do I look at the DXY before I take a trade on a US dollar pair? Or why do I even look at the DXY at all, right? So first of all, I don't trade the DXY. Is it possible to trade the DXY? Yeah, there are instruments where you could trade the DXY if you want to do that. I don't trade it whatsoever, okay? Now, the reason that I do consult the DXY is, and understand that, first of all, this index is heavily weighted towards the euro US dollar, or around 60% of the index is weighted towards the euro US dollar, not the euro US dollar, towards the euro. Then you have next after that the Japanese yen, followed by then like the pound, and then you have a basket of other currencies such as the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. It's definitely highly, and Swiss franc also, definitely highly correlated to the euro US dollar, right? So how do I use this and why? Following the DXY, understanding that it is flawed, right? And like, it's not a perfect world we live in a lot of aspects. As a trader, you have to be like able to adapt and just be able to use to the best of your ability the tools that you're given. Not like, oh, the markets are manipulated. So they're manipulated. So what? How do you navigate them? Right? So the DXY, I understand its flaws. Nevertheless, I follow it to get me that type of. The main reason I follow the DXY is not because of the DXY is showing like the dollar is weak, therefore I then start trading against other currencies. It's because consulting the dollar and the dollar index, it helps me have that overall pulse of the market. It's just one more like lever to click, and if I have more pieces, flowing together, it helps me understand more closely what's going on. If you're using the DXY as an edge to consult yourself in trading other charts, let me always revert back and keep it as simply as possible. Do not just trade the Euro US dollar if you're trading the Euro US dollar. Don't worry about what's happening on the DXY. Trade what's on the chart in front of you. All right. That being said, back to the DXY, right? You could see that it's unchanged on the day, right? What is the dollar looking at, right? Is it weird to me that you're seeing the reaction on the precious metals? No, we'll talk about that in 1 second. Is it an overreaction? I think so, right? The dollar, though, is just unchanged. Is that giving me any type of clue today? Not really. It's not. So there you go. Make observations. Juan, that's an assumption that there will be a vaccine that is 100% proven, which I think that would be. I mean, the Pfizer CEO was saying this is one of the greatest humans' achievements in science. If that's the case, maybe it is, but I don't know that we have a working vaccine or for how long that vaccine would work. Now, I didn't talk about Bitcoin. I'll talk about Bitcoin right after I get into silver. First, let's talk about gold over here. And this is a big, really big, fat, ugly red candle. It seems to me so far like it's an overreaction, right? If you liked gold on Friday, right, are you hating it today? Well, or are you liking the opportunity more because you missed it? Hold on 1 second. I'm going to take the sweater off. Has anything changed when it comes to gold, silver? Is the vaccine all of a sudden going to magically fix the solvency issues we're seeing? Look, I don't think so. I think it's really good as far as offering hope, right? That we could be returning to some sense of normal. But I don't really think that's affecting any of the fundamental reasons that you would have any type of long outlook on gold or silver or even remotely. Most important, I do think that if you look at the trend of negative interest rates around the world, that is continue to increase. I think that's one of the biggest factors that makes the bullish case for gold over here. The only one bearish thing I see for gold and the gold markets right now, and I haven't spoke about this before, but the only negative thing I see for the gold market right now, before we look at price itself and see what's going on over here, if your account got killed on Thursday, you're way over position sized. There's zero excuses for that. So the only thing that's changing the bullish case for gold to a degree is Bitcoin. A lot of investors, a lot of high net worth investors who normally in this at this moment in time would be taking gold positions are now realizing that they prefer to be invested in Bitcoin. That's the only negative thing I see for gold, and that doesn't change whether I would like to own gold or not. I mean, it's clear to me if you look at the difference between gold and silver, there's many advantages over Bitcoin over gold. However, Bitcoin is really, really, really immature, and gold is really mature, right? I still want to own gold. But anyway, I think a lot of traders, a lot of gold traders, a lot of short-term traders, and also high net worth individuals are choosing Bitcoin over gold. That story could become more pronounced over these next 12 months. But again, also remind you, 12 months from now, as I get bearish on Bitcoin, I think a lot of people are going to maintain that like holding Bitcoin over gold. I don't think that's the right play. I think looking at gold 12 months from now is going to be a really, really smart play. And nevertheless, I'm going to do it. So what's going on over here? So first of all, this is an overreaction. This is not a tradable event. You right now, as there's fear, you want to be looking to see if it offers the opportunity to pick up gold. I mean, right? So this wasn't an entry that anyone I know took over here as you came into the 1914, and then you put in an entry that has no name. Oh, it's on the daily. That's why. Check it on the 8-hour, right? I don't know anyone taking trades over here at 1914. Right? Never had any type of entry conquering the markets. But now all of a sudden we're back down over here. We're below the 1914 clear line, right? We were looking to trade above 1914. But the bullish structure so far today is still in place. What do I mean by that? I mean, this trend line over here, first of all, this one over here, a close back above it, that's a pretty good sign. We're holding here at that support. This is nothing more than a retest right now. Watch gold during these next 24 hours and see if it resumes out of this. If it does, and that was something that you were interested in getting yourself into last week, Thursday, Friday, if you're one of those like momentum chasers, well, then you should really be looking for this as an opportunity. And we'll see. If we break down over here, though, right? If we continue to sell off over here, if we lose the support over here at 1872, are we going to see even a possible deeper correction on gold? Well, that's what the technicals would be saying to us, right? If we lose this level over here, 1872, at that point we could be challenging that September low, and if that doesn't hold, we could then see a pullback a lot of traders have been waiting for. I think that today's market, which is just opening in 10 minutes over in New York, I really think we need to see what happens here to the London close to get any idea of whether or not this was an overreaction and that's going to be faded, or we're going to see some further continuation. But right now, I mean, those waves are like, you're looking at like 70-foot waves, and if you want to get involved in that, well, you better know what you're doing, right? Same thing going on here in silver. If I extend that line down over there, you can see that that's what's holding right now. You're getting that first of all, the breakout. Notice the 26 resistance held, right? And now this is also, again, this is coming in for a retest. So this is the most difficult time. It reminds me of this over here. This was the second week of August. I remember being on vacation. I remember gold and silver getting obliterated and then putting on a video. No, that's a pullback into support. That's where you were looking to buy. Is this a similar situation? It could be. It could be. Break down below, lose 23.30, and then silver at that point. Then we could be seeing a breakdown, a big technical breakdown. Jordan, when the election lawsuits begin, how do you anticipate the market reacting? I have no idea. I'm here this morning reverting to watching price and trading off of price, right? We have some, although there's no like buying opportunities here this morning, like we have taken out, this is an event that we have been waiting for, or I have been waiting for, the break of that trend line over there. And very clearly, you know, it was said, once we break above that trend line, equities are offering opportunity to the upside once again and are no longer risky. Here we are experiencing that, but that's a 4% move or higher. Obviously not looking to as a tradable event, and we'll just stand on the side and wait, and that's fine. And you know, some people might feel like, well, I'm standing on the side and I'm missing all of this. Well, then you don't have the right perspective of what it takes to make it, because just rewind a couple of weeks earlier, we put on some beautiful trades, right? And then the U.S. was having this huge risk event, the election of 2020. Being on the sidelines made the most sense. Now, like, oh, it's time to come back out and play, but you know, that doesn't mean you jump right in. So we're waiting right now. I don't know what's going to happen at all. So yeah, you see oil bid right now just on the. I want to get into Bitcoin just on the news here that everything's rosy and you know, the COVID is going to, you know, see everything open up and we're going to see more demand and blah blah blah. Is it an overreaction is the question you should be asking yourself right now. Does oil look like it's offering any opportunity right now? No, it doesn't. What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin had a wild weekend. You saw Saturday morning Bitcoin really selling off violently and pretty hard, but just as quickly it erased those gains. It never made a higher high over here, right? But if you're looking at it, first of all, also during all the hoopla this morning, you didn't see Bitcoin react too much, or it wasn't in unison with like everyone else's. Right, everything else was acting in a uniform manner, and Bitcoin was just being Bitcoin. Again, we're starting to see that. That's not really going to be pronounced until the end of the first quarter of 2021, but we're seeing it. I wanted to show you this really quickly. So just follow my line of thinking. This is halving, okay? This is the blue line is the last halving over here. I'm looking down at this low over here, circa the halving. And from there to the all-time high, the past all-time high on Bitcoin, right, was roughly 140% gain, okay? Keep that in mind because I'm doing the same thing over here. I'm finding the halving. The halving was in May 10th. This was the drawdown, circa the halving over here. And from that point up until it's about 19,500, more or less, there he is. 19,500 is 140% gain. That's interesting that they're both into the last all-time high has a reading of about the same. I put a tweet out on Saturday, I believe, or on Friday. It was on Friday, saying that listen, I think if you're looking for a 30% drawdown right now, your timing is not there. And I don't see that happening. The reason I was waiting to get the Bitcoin video out to you on 3 ways to trade it during the bull market phase, and I was waiting to 14,000, because in my mind, and I'm not saying that I'm incorrect, but I do have obviously a nice track record to go off of in forecasting what's going on with Bitcoin. It was into that break of 14,000, then I was looking towards 18,000 up into 20,000. And that 30% pullback, which was why I was waiting. I still think we're too low, right? For Jordan, it comes in around anywhere 17,000, 17,500 into the 2,000 area. Again, that's probably a little low. I think it's more 18,000 to 20,000 in that area where I'll be looking for that first 30% pullback. Pretty neat that the last two cycles line up where that could have that symmetry. That happens a lot on Bitcoin. Delete the comment on the screen. Definitely. I don't know why I'm on Bitcoin. Let me just talk about it really quick. I don't know what percentage of your portfolio should be in Bitcoin. That would really depend on a lot, most namely how well you understand Bitcoin. I know myself, it took years of intensive study to really understand Bitcoin, right? And I could say now that there's still so much I don't understand. So that would depend, but it also depends on how old you are, what your financial situation looks like. I myself have well over 50% of my portfolio into Bitcoin. I was fully positioned into Bitcoin at 50%. Price has drastically risen over the past few months, changing that overall allocation. But I'm not gonna since something's going up, I'm gonna sell. No. I don't. That allocation may become like 85%. But I'm not selling based on that. Jordan, what if Bitcoin and the equity markets are still correlated? Well, if the equity markets and Bitcoin was still correlated, I think that Bitcoin should be having a blockbuster day today. And they are correlated. They are correlated. They're just not tightly correlated in this moment. Everyone's fresh in their mind during the crisis when everything was correlated down to 1, and the time afterwards when that correlation was so strong. If the S&P was down, Bitcoin was down. If the S&P was up, Bitcoin was up. And we just pointed out ahead of time, listen, that's going to start breaking and then break a lot next year. Everyone has seen it broke now. Right? You could see it happening. If you can't, then just take another look. I don't think there's a way to see these Bitcoin charts on TradingView. So I've tried sharing the link before. I'll share the link right now, and then maybe you get it. All right, what if we don't get the 30% pullback? This is a great question, Dinkar. I'm going to have to go with it and run. It's a great question. And what? By the way, 253 likes. Thanks if you're here this morning sharing in this time together for going ahead and supporting me in the channel like that, smashing that like button. I know it seems like a little effort on your part, but it is a big deal to me, and I appreciate it. What happens if we don't get 30% pullback? Jordan, you could see already that we've had a 20% pullback. This is going into the halving. We had a 20% pullback. Let me pull it up really quick just to show you. This area over here was a 20% pullback. That was one. And then we had another 20% pullback. And if you remember during this 20% pullback, that was, is it 20%? I mean, look, 19.69. We'll give it to me. Or maybe it's another 20% pullback. Yeah. And what happens if that's all we have going forward? Because like now Bitcoin is way different for whatever reason. I'm not saying it is, but what happens if we only? I don't think that's the case, you know. And if you think that there's a possibility going forward, do you see? Because I think Bitcoin is going to be ultra volatile going forward right now in this bull market phase. And when something's that volatile, it's not one direction. If Bitcoin is making, you know, the type of gains that Bitcoin is known to make during this part of the cycle, that's going to show the volatility on the up and downside, because the market does what? It overreacts to the upside and downside. But if you think that there's a possibility we could only have 20% corrections going forward, well then just put an order in, you know, 15 or 20% below all-time market, and you'll get fills on the way up. You know, you'll get your fills. Do I think that 25 and 30% is safer and better? I do. And also, Dinkar, the last thing I want to say about that is you should already be fully positioned into Bitcoin, right? So there's a lot of people, like, once you understand Bitcoin, you can never have enough Bitcoin, because where else should your money be? I understand that argument, but at this point, people that have been following the channel and understand the thesis over here, like, you should be fully positioned into Bitcoin. Whereas if you never got a 30% pullback, and this goes on for the bull market, as you exit, you've met and actually overachieved all of your goals. You know, so the pullbacks are just like, that's just gravy train if it happens. I think they're going to happen, but if you're worried about them, then put 20%. You know, 18%. Have some orders waiting. You'll get filled. Generally a bad idea to invest in something after a news event like this morning, right? So, you know, generally a bad, you know, you want to be ahead, not behind. You want to be ahead, not behind. Well, John, I'm not sure, but that's not what we were. I don't know. That's not what our, right? So nickel looking beautiful. What else are we looking at over here? U.S. equity markets just opening up now, right? Interesting to see what that price action will be. I don't need to today on the equity markets, and we all have like that strong understanding. The important piece is to remember that we've broken above this trend line. It has been the base case that once we broke above there, there's a lot of potential to the upside. It's happening now. You can't chase. It's just a question of waiting, right? So how is it an overreaction though? Well, if it's an overreaction to the upside over here, because the market is up, you know, it's not normal to see the S&P up 4%. It's not normal to see the Dow up 6%, and it's not normal to see the Russell up 7%. How could that be an overreaction? Well, if people start realizing, well, okay, like let's say that Pfizer has a working vaccine, not just some good news, but a working vaccine, and they could get out 65 million doses. Okay, well, how does that change the overall picture? Well, the next year they could get out another, 350 million doses. Okay, so you're saying that things haven't changed. Yeah, wear your face mask. Stay safe. Oh. So I mean, that's what it is. It's a piece of news. So, you know, traders are an emotional lot, right? You know, oh, Pfizer's come out with the vaccine, buy Pfizer. You know, let's see what happens 24 hours from now. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that, well, things are going as I wanted them to happen, and I did want them to break out above here. All right, well, now they're breaking out above here. Wow. All right, now let's wait. And that was a pretty big move. Maybe that's going to, you know, maybe that's going to come back and test up, and then we're going to get a better entry. On the Nasdaq is already offering a possibility of that happening, but, you know, as we climb up higher, no. Markets very rarely go break out to the moon, I'll see you later. Most of the time what happens is that like they come back and then like they have some price discovery and they're like, oh yeah, no, there's a lot of support down here. All right, now let's get going. All right, so what else? Let's look at FX a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Let's see where the opportunity lies. Before we do, let's blow through the crypto over here. And well, I have to be honest. Getting above 390, I thought that we were going to come into 500 a little quicker than we have. You know, but I guess there's some things out there the market's still trying to put together and weigh. Like, for example, what's going on. You know, well, anyway, I don't want to get into it with y'all. But anyway, so we're working our way towards 500. Do I think 500 is going to be the top of Ethereum? Well, not even close. I don't think that at all. I think after we break above 500, then we're going to be talking about numbers such as like, such as about $780, $800, you know? So that's something to look forward to, but nothing there right now. Litecoin was pumping over the weekend. XRP is still having a lot of trouble, right? But we all know why. EOS, very interesting. They have their project. It's like the decentralized Wikipedia, and I believe they're running on the Ethereum blockchain, right? Monero, let's say this might be an opportunity for some traders over here. Monero looks like it is consolidating very nicely over here. Looks like it's consolidating very nicely here. So it might be an opportunity to look for what is going to be the leaders on the way up. And then Chainlink over there. You know, again, it looked like we were breaking above the $12.90 yesterday. That was short-lived. And I maintain once we trade above $12.90, right, got to close above it, got to boom. That's when we could start seeing a bigger run here on Chainlink. So there's not much to say over there, right? Do I think that Ethereum will go to 1,400 again? I think that there's a good possibility. When I say that I'm exiting Ethereum and exiting Chainlink, first of all, they're very small positions. It's only because it's not because I don't think they're going to go much higher. I think both will go much higher when I exit them. I'm going to exit them as Bitcoin is between 18,000 and 20,000. I was tweeting about that weekend because from then on, I'm expecting that 30% pullback at any time on Bitcoin. And I want to take those funds when that 30% has happened and position back further just into Bitcoin. I just simply, rather than speculate here, you know, would it make sense to make an asymmetrical bet on Ethereum working out or going to zero? I think so. I think Ethereum's got a lot of good things going for it, including one of them more or less being, you know, the first mover when it comes to protocols. So anyway, let's check out FX. Let's see what's going on. Before I do that, let me just check what's going on with the dollar. And the dollar is staying what? Unchanged on the session. Pretty good. So I guess I'll talk about it as I exit and let you know that I'm exiting and why. But I do not think whatsoever that when I exit Ethereum and Chainlink that's the end, that they won't go higher. Wow. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Look at that massive, massive move here off the vaccine news. Wow. Okay, but we're into that look. We're into that resistance. What does that mean for us, and how does that line up things? Well, I say it's a big deal. Getting above that is a big deal, right? This is interesting. I don't know what to make of it yet, but it's very interesting over here. And that's all I'm going to say as we get started. Interesting. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, also into some resistance area over here, clearly, but uber bullish. If you look at the levels over there, by the way, do you notice this line over here that we were using at that guide to know when that downtrend on the Australian dollar was ending? Look how beautiful that's playing out. So just definitely seeing those massive moves. Yeah, Australian dollar, Japanese yen is risk on, and obviously with news of the vaccine, there is risk on. Now, is there anything that could change for us going from risk on to risk off? I mean, the vaccine news seems to be pretty much there, and not only that, human nature. I mean, everybody is, everyone after 2020 could really be using some hope. That vaccine news is providing some hope. So if everyone's going to run with that, that's all well and good. Is there anything that could take us to risk off really quickly? I mean, it's interesting that China and Russia are saying that they're going to wait before they congratulate President-elect Biden to see what the courts say who won the election, and Mexico's also saying the same. I don't know if that whole saga takes a change, what the markets will do. And nobody knows. Let's just say, for example, all of a sudden there's a court ruling that changes the directions of one of the swing states. How the market prices that in, or if it even prices anything in, I don't know, but we just need to wait for that. We don't need to try to guess what will happen. If it happens, we need to take note of what the market does. Speaking of what the market does, we need to take a quick look at the calendar for this week. New Zealand dollar central bank rate statement tomorrow on Tuesday, and then just a bunch of the central bank chairs speaking, but not much going on that front. I think this is a great question. It's a good question. Why are Australian dollar pairs going up and gold going down, right? Well, the Australian dollar is really right now is keying off of the fact that, risk on, visors good for the economy, the worst is probably behind us. Looking forward, things look better. Risk on, right? Gold, on the other hand, though, I said that when I would get out of the gold trade, and I don't think it'll be for a couple of years from now, is when we return to growth, right? That's the one thing I've always said. Bear market continues in precious metals until we're going to return to growth. Do I think that this is the time that we're going to return to growth and therefore the gold trade is over? I don't think that whatsoever. Actually, the only thing that is this have the potentially for them, the opportunity for them to lessen the stimulus package? Maybe that debate will happen, right? But more stimulus, actually bad for the dollar, good for gold. Is growth returning to the economy? Hopefully this is a great sign that the possibility is there, but I think it's going to be a long time before we're able to shake off what just happened and recover from it. So the market is overreacting today. Now, I'm not saying the market's wrong for its overreacting. The market is overreacting. Why do we mean the market's not wrong for doing it? Well, maybe the market was off-sided one way, last week, and it's just overreaching the other way now. Just give it a little bit of time over here, and then we'll be able to get in there and do what we do best. All right, so let's keep moving over here. I'm looking to see what opportunity there is, if any. Australian dollar, US dollar, interesting, right? So by the way, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, biggest mover by far, followed by the other risk-off pair, Swiss franc, 1.8. If you're looking to continue to trade, Australian dollar, is it versus the dollar or is it versus the Japanese yen? Some things you want to figure out over there. I mean, Dan, it could be, but those vaccines aren't coming for a long time. But Dan, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. All right. By the way, the whole Square PayPal saga thing, I'm curious. It seems to me now that PayPal, and by the way, not only is PayPal getting into the game over here, they're seeing huge demand from their user base. They're increasing limits up to 15,000 now, and will continue to increase as there's a huge demand from people whose only access to Bitcoin is now through PayPal. Silver we looked at. You could just always go back on the live stream, and I'll check in with you really quick here before we move on right now. You could always just go back in the beginning of the live stream and check out where we're looking at gold and silver. Look for the middle of the letters as you're going back on the red dial over there. But silver over here, right? This is still a very bullish structure that's happening on silver. Just take away the noise. I mean, take away what's just happening today. You could see that breakout retest is happening right now. If silver resumes off this is the opportunity you were waiting for. Right now, silver, if it breaks below 2330, technically at that point, well, that's a bearish event. That would be a bearish event after the fake breakout to the upside. Here comes the retest. If there's no resumption and it's a failure, then that would be a negative event. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is gold or Bitcoin if you're thinking about buying gold. You know? We got isn't it funny? It was not funny at all. How terrible that every time the markets are moving, and it could be Bitcoin also, Coinbase goes down every time there's a big move on Bitcoin. It feels like Robinhood, Ameritrade, they all go down every time the markets are moving and people need to be able to make trades. But nevertheless, let's keep looking at FX over here. Let's look at the Euro US dollar and see what's doing. By the way, I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone had a really good weekend. I know that speaking with a few of you over the weekend, I was just really looking forward to this session here together to see what's going on and making sure that we're able to stay on the right side over here. That's what we do. The Euro US dollar over here is getting above an important level, right? I've said that over here, above here, well, that offers up the opportunity here to be getting out of this range. We were sideways ever since, right, the end of July. That's changing here potentially today, right? This is offering new movement, and that is perhaps a place to get long over here. So that's something worth watching. There's no actionable trade happening there right now. What about the Euro Japanese yen? Nice breakout on the Euro Japanese yen, watching that trend line over there coming into resistance. Interesting, and take note that the weakness in the Japanese yen is very, very pronounced today, right? It was interesting because we were watching all these geopolitical events taking place, and the yen was not like, the yen was staying, not bid, but it was staying firm while everything else was weak. Today, you're seeing the yen catch up and the weakness in the yen. So very important observation, but I don't really see the opportunity yet. All right. This is the Euro British pound. As we're getting closer and closer to the clock ticking on a hard exit or some type of mutual agreement, you could see the Euro British pound continues in this consolidation. This is a huge downward sloping channel. It is also, could you still call it a bull flag, right? So we'll keep watching that. Nothing happening there though right now. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar Mexican peso. I feel like of the year of so many good trades, this one is one that continues to be continuing to give over here. So anyway, my own target, anyway, I'm not really getting into T over here. My own target was somewhere around 19, a little bit higher. That looks like it's in play now. I don't know what else to say over here or make of. This can't be good for Mexico. U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, a huge repricing today. Let's look at this over here and see what that means. You could just see the this might be offering some opportunity. You could see the Japanese yen over here, the weakness. Now, is this an overreaction I don't know, but we're at an equilibrium. We're back into, you could see this resistance over here, this area of support. Now, if that's going to hold as resistance and that is rejected off, is that an opportunity to get short the dollar versus the yen? It could be. This is something worth taking note of over here. What about a break above? If you break above, you can see that slower, that lightly, the angle of this trend line is very, very low, but nevertheless, you could see that's in play right now. A break above this horizontal resistance at 105.20, and also that slope of that trend line at the same time. Do you want to get long dollars right now? I mean, that's the thing. Do you want to get long dollars? Yeah, gold is at support. Gold and silver both look right now that, if they hold over here, just looking at the horizontal support right over there, a breakdown below there though, well, that's not a bullish technical event for gold. Do you want to sell gold at that point? Not myself. Pull up a chart, inverse chart of the negative yielding debt across the world and the chart of gold. I think that's I think this is a lot of noise today, personally. Ooh, Dan, I want some bacon. I want some bacon and eggs over here. Jordan, do you have any trigger entries that you have on exchange right now? I mean, buying and at what price? Yeah, we don't do, that's irrelevant. We don't do that in here. That's not what we do. We look at the markets over here. We analyze the markets. By the way, in doing that today, this morning, I'm seeing a lot of what is happening, but I'm not seeing anything like where I'm stalking, setting up a trade. Is anyone seeing anything different than myself? Then let's look at it together. That's for sure. I just don't see any opportunity over there. Should you go long on gold when it hits 1850? Listen, if price was trading at 1850, would I think to go long on gold? I wouldn't, right? I would, if gold is able to come out over here and resume out of this, I would think about going long. That's all over here. That's closer to, like, I guess 1895, around over there. But listen, how do I say this? What's your attraction right now to gold over Bitcoin? What's your attraction to gold right now over Bitcoin? Yeah. I'm trying to see, just catch up a couple of comments. Could you look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar? Definitely. Let's do it together right now. So I guess what I'm seeing right now, though, myself, first of all, is I am seeing the U.S. dollar for the first time since the end of the July potentially coming back into play now, where I want to be trading against the U.S. dollar. I am seeing right now the Japanese yen also continuing to be expanding, to moving. That's something that I want to focus on. Now, generally speaking, I might want to focus a little less on cross pairs that don't include the Japanese yen right now, that don't include the U.S. dollar. That's what I'm seeing right now. Whether or not that's proven correct or not, I don't know. But that's what I'm seeing right now in the markets. So Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, right? I don't see much going on whatsoever. What I see here, though, is I see two strong pairs right now just battling it out, right? You're seeing Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, two risk-on pairs that are both, for example, if you look over here, the New Zealand dollar is up 2.6% versus the yen. We know that also the Australian dollar is up 2.6%, and the Canadian dollar. All commodity currencies are running right now on this risk-on environment. So I don't want to trade two strong pairs versus each other, right? Because I want to go strength versus weakness. So, instead of looking or focusing here right now, that's not where to focus. You want to be looking at the waves. You want to see which wave is coming in, which one is offering the best potential, and that's the one that you want to focus in on and ride. All right? Did you do Bitcoin already? Yeah. We did Bitcoin at the beginning towards the beginning of the live stream. We start off looking at the indexes, the S&P, the Nasdaq, then the Dow and the Russell. Move over to the dollar index, which, by the way, dollar is now firming up over here this morning, right? And then we look at Bitcoin, and actually, you should go back on the live stream and look at that, because I also looked at what and why my potential profit target on this wave of Bitcoin is and where it is. And by the way, y'all should still be holding from down over here, right? This was the last swing trade we gave on Bitcoin, 11,350, taking 40% profit over there. That was about a 15% move, and holding the other 60%, right? So regardless of all the hoopla that has happened everywhere else, if you're riding the trade that matters, then you really don't have to worry about it. The Euro Australian dollar, I don't think we took a look at it yet. Let's take a look at it right now. So Euro Australian dollar. Australian dollar has definitely been strong. The euro is weak. No, the euro is stronger than the dollar. The euro is way stronger than the yen, right? Is this what else do I see happening over here? Well, we're back into this big consolidation box over here that we were in for months. We tried to break out to the upside, but I failed. And now we're coming back down towards the area of support. Do I want to be focused here right now? Well, if we break down here, yes. Or if we get back up, yes. But right now, Euro, Australian dollar, not where I want to focus. All right. Thanks, Mr. B, for really being there to pick up the support over there. Much love and appreciated. Euro Australian dollar is actually, right, offering opportunity in the fact that if it gets above that area right here, 1.1894, this area, I have it as support, as resistance, right? It gets above there and confirms that as into support. Above here, I like being long on the euro versus the US dollar. You can see right now so far that resistance is holding this session right over here. You need a close on the daily above or below it to say that it broke out. But that's in play, just not at this moment. Are we seeing any type of fading of these ranges from this morning? You can see the S&P off now, a little bit. The Russell barely. Oh, it's a big candle off. So was that an overreaction? Well, that's what the markets do, right? We're just giving them time to figure out where the equilibrium is, and once it does, that's when we're going to be like seeing the opportunity to get into the market. The markets are alive. The markets are huge ranges right now. Now is a really good trading environment, and it's just a question of just waiting for things to line up to where you have that edge and then jump in on them. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot to consider, right? There's a lot to consider. It's not just so easy. The markets are just reacting. Jordan, so that's off the September high. Yep. And then the October high right over there. And then you can see it lines up perfectly with what happened over here in November with the move right into the resistance, the rejection support held right here, and now we're off to the races. But that's an important breakout today, nevertheless, for us, for me, technically over here. This opens up the upside to the equity markets again. It makes them attractive. I really think, and I'm just going to focus in on it again, you need to be asking yourself the question, though, if you do not have your position into Bitcoin, why not, and what are you waiting for? I myself have already been fully positioned into Bitcoin. As this move is happening, I'm not like, oh, I need more. right? But this move is just getting started. What else do we want to look at? Again, oh, just the other piece of advice that I started this live stream off with this morning was that, pay attention to what happens between now and the London close. I have a feeling that, we're going to continue to see some big moves. I don't think that this volatility is kind of simmering down right now at all. Oh, okay. Well, for sure, Kips gets to definitely get loud today. He's and he's right. But from conquering the market's perspective, right? We had the breakout over here. There was no play on it yet, right? There was the resistance we were looking at above here. Yeah, that's gravy. Or now that you've had the retest, if you hold over here, it is offering opportunity, silver to get long, or it could be. Now, you got to get the resumption to get the signal to enter, right? If you don't, and this challenge is 2330, if this fails here, then we could be seeing even a bigger move. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, let's check it out over here. So this is a big breakout here. As we look at this, and I just want to pull up a chart first of the Australian dollar, US dollar. So interesting to note, right? What is interesting is that the New Zealand dollar is breaking out versus the US dollar, and the Australian dollar is not. It's into resistance over here so far, right? You see that? But you see the New Zealand dollar has broken out over here to yearly highs against the dollar, right? Now you're getting, this is actually something to definitely be watching over here. You get the breakout over here, and now we're coming in for the retest. All right, this is actually green lit. This is something that I will keep watching to see what's happening over there. But that's very simple, right? Pull back. You can see over here, we've taken out the yearly highs over here. That was a double top. We're taking it out right now. You can see if I come back over here, it was a Friday. There's no way I would ever do it, right? I'm not saying, but I'm looking at what happened. This is the resistance over there. You could see that price pulled back right off the resistance and had the entry that had no name. Nevertheless, this is conquering the markets right now, waiting for this retest, firming up this resistance as support, and that's something to keep watch of. Thanks for pointing that out. We have a lot of thoughts on gold, right? If by the way, blah, blah, blah. Someone asked, do I buy gold at 1850, right? It depends on what your time horizon is, by the way. If you are bullish on gold, then today's price action is not alarming to you whatsoever, even a little. If you are bullish on gold and your time preference is either, anywhere between a year and 3, then right now you should have zero your stress level should be 0. You should be completely confident in your position, understanding why you're bullish on gold, the bullish case for gold, the negative interest rates, the continuing devaluation of fiat, and the rising government deficits, and also the signal that the Federal Reserve continues to expand their balance sheet and that the U.S. government is going to continue to go into debt. So you should be pretty bullish on gold, and this is nothing but noise. The same way as this was nice, this breakout over here was nice, but it was not euphoric for you whatsoever, right? So if that's your time preference, are you buying gold at 1850? Are you buying gold over here now? Or yes, of course. If you're a swing trader right now, right? And we're talking about this just from trading from a swing trader's perspective. We're not talking about our, I'm bringing the time preference down to 8 hour, okay? Now, this was a bullish event. Rejected at the 1814, held the support over there. That was, again, bullish. We broke out, but never had an opportunity for any type of long entry, right? And what's happening now? Oh, we lost the 1930 support.
We lost the 1914 support. We lost the trend line. Those are all bearish technical events. And now we're trading down towards below the 1872 support. Well, if I close below that, then, you know, the bearish swing traders thesis is off the table. It's actually technically very bearish. There's no reason to be bullish anymore. Now, if you close above this today, 1872, yeah, then you could still be holding on to your bullish thesis, which has been weakened after 3 support levels have been taken out. But with, you know, that could be repaired, corrected pretty soon. If you are able to hold this level and resume up above that trend line, that might be an opportunity to start thinking about taking a long on gold. So that's gold right now. Bitcoin is well, so when I look at Bitcoin, I'm like, all right, it is up what? All right, it's up 56% ever since it broke out technically into the bull market. All right, and then since September, it's up 50%. So Bitcoin's trading 2.5 down 2% today. Oh yeah, Bitcoin's crashing. Crashing. Yep. By the way, let's talk about downside risks, though, on Bitcoin right now. Let's talk about downside risks, or like what would need to happen for us to be near term. Say we lost some important levels over here. All right. So by the way, I want to rewind just 2 places. This is where we picked the next bullish breakout on Bitcoin, right? This is where we picked it up. And this is where we picked up the swing trade, right? So what about right now? Like below here, right? Trading back below that area, that would be very worrisome. If I was in a leveraged position on Bitcoin, I would be lightening it up below a break of that line. It's coming in right now around, let's call it 11,450. If Bitcoin traded down to there, I would say, all right, something's not right. Right now, you can see this line held during that retest of the breakout of the bull market. Breakout of the bull market, retest this trend line over there. Yeah. So if we broke below that, I would say, uh-oh. That's also probably want to continue to lighten up my position a little bit. That's unexpected. Now, is that unexpected? It's always expected at any time we could get a 30% drawdown on Bitcoin, and that would take us, oh, interesting. Interesting. So interesting in the fact that I was showing to you where things would be wrong on Bitcoin. And it's right down into the 30%, right down over there. 30% off the highs. If we traded lower than that, I would say things are wrong on Bitcoin. Interesting. So again, back to perspective, right? With if price did trade down that low, do you think there's a bunch of buyers? I do. So that brings us back to over here. You know, if we trade below this, now something's very wrong on Bitcoin, and we'd be trading down what? 35%. I'm trying to make the bearish case for Bitcoin. I'm having trouble doing it. All right, that's all that I'm trying here to like where we would have to worry about our downside risk to Bitcoin. And when I figure out what that price is, it's about 30% off the all-time high. And I just happen to think that not only myself, but many other traders, if we trade down 30% off the high, are stepping in to buy Bitcoin. So I'm not, it looks pretty bullish to me. I can't make the bearish case right now for Bitcoin. So keep riding it out, eh? Keep riding it out. Yep. But we're not really even seeing a dip right now, by the way, right? If we look, we're looking at the daily chart of Bitcoin. Let me look at the 12-hour chart with you. Like this is still straight up. Should I move the angle of my parabolic trend line? By the way, thanks for being here this morning. And if you're here, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you very much. Do we put in? This is my parabolic trend line on right now on Bitcoin. Is it time to change that? Nope. It's not. Why would I look at Bitcoin 12,000 though? What are you looking for at 12,000? You know, there's a lot of support down there. Jordan, as a guy who appreciates nice trend lines, you don't like plug charts. Not many speculation plays have a chart that's so clean. I don't know what a plug chart is. I don't look at it as I mean, I do what I do, right? And that's what I look at price, right? By the way, if you're not using the true trend, I think that you should use it. It's a fantastic indicator. It really helps you see the market so easy, so clean. I have it ingrained into my psyche so much that I see it happening on price alone. I follow price off of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and chart patterns. I don't think there's any better way to approach or trade the markets. I think it's the best way by far. Ethereum is giving a Bart Simpson right now. Let's check it out. So, I mean, this is a great. It's a good question that people should be asking themselves. Look, and first of all, just to even preference the fact that like maybe you don't understand, huge respect, right? But I see it being replaced in a matter of a few years. So just one thing to consider in that whole thesis or that argument, it was back in late 2017 where people were trying to replace Bitcoin, where the question was, who will overtake Bitcoin? And you had the fork wars where you had Bitcoin Cash have a direct revolt against Bitcoin, splitting the chain, taking all of those users with them, and in a matter of time, the market spoke really quickly, and the participants defended Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash is basically gone today. We've already had these fork wars. We've already had the market has shown that look, there's only one Bitcoin. No one's competing against Bitcoin. And the market's not looking for like some new or better technology. Actually, the CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, was very adamant. The whole reason that he invested $500 million into Bitcoin was for the simple fact that not because something's better or faster, but because it's proven and it's secure. And not only that the community would defend it. So there are other cryptocurrencies that may do well, and there are some that will have in the next few days some enormous returns, but those are speculation because they're not on proven technology, and just be careful out there. Craig, that is one of the best videos. That's the video that if you watch that at that point, as Raul did when he was interviewing Michael, that you just come to realize that at this particular moment in time, it's really difficult to make a case for gold over Bitcoin. Now that will change according to Bitcoin's 4-year cycle. September, October, November, December 2021. That will change, and gold will be a far better investment, in my opinion, on that shorter time frame, a year and a half, than Bitcoin. What else is there to say? The dollar is definitely finding a bid here in New York this morning. Watch as it comes now into resistance. and you have over here this trend line is the resistance. What would happen if we broke that, by the way? If we broke that to the upside? Like this was, remember everyone, this was, oh, okay, we have a big shift here, big technical breakout on the dollar. Jordan is now going from bearish on the dollar to bullish on the dollar. And then after a week, we came back below the trend line, reversing that again. Is it possible we reverse that again and come back up? Look, for me personally, when you get into this type of situation, I will flip just as quickly. And this is very, very difficult as a trader to be able to do, to be able to flip-flop like that. But here's the thing, if you don't do it, you could get caught off on the wrong side of what is the very big move. Now, we for many months, we're able to maintain just one direction, right? But right now, look, I'm just going to keep following what's happening here on price. I think it's an absolutely critical time right now in the markets as we're getting to the close of 2020 over here, as a new administration is, or an existing one, is forming in the United States. Policy is definitely going to be corrected. I want to be on the right side of this, and that's why I'm watching my downside right now. But you are coming back up right now. Follow my mouse. We're coming into some resistance, light resistance, and then you have that resistance right over there. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I suppose, but no, I don't. You know, if you're on the wrong side of the trade, you're on the wrong side of the trade, right? Nice. Gold mining in Colorado. I saw on Gold Rush they were mining up in Colorado, but the altitude was so high. They were like, what were they at? Like 10, 11,000 feet. Easy to be on the right side of the market when you're riding whatever the momentum is. I don't know. Is it easy to be on the right side of the market? Yeah, we're really good at that. Is there anything easy about it? Nope. I don't think that there's anything else easy to do about that. I think when someone makes something look easy, that is, an extreme reflection of hard work, dedication, skill, and or talent. But I think chasing momentum is a very dangerous thing to do as a trader. The only indicator that I recommend is the true trend. You could just pull that up by going into the indicators over here and then just searching true trend. On the Forex playlist, there are a couple of videos about it if you want to understand it. Nasdaq looking like it found support, or is it too soon? Right? Let me show what is on in my mind. So let's talk about this, everybody, together right now, and you tell me what you see. If you're trading here the Nasdaq, right, and you're looking at what's going on here on price alone, you're seeing, and by the way, just to frame this and lighten this up, we were watching this trend line here for a while, right? We've been watching that trend line for a while and stating that above that trend line, that leads to a big leg up on the upside. And here you go, you have the break today to the upside. We've already come in for the retest. You could see that retest is happening. And now we're looking for a resumption. The signal for the resumption is here on the 8-hour time frame when price makes a higher high than the previous price bar. So, there's no question. You can be like, well, and you could tell by my voice, like I'm not looking to take the trade, right? But you could see this right here. This is definitely green lighted if you were. But you need that confirmation, right, of price making a higher high. So you don't have that yet, but before this makes a higher high, this still could fail and come back down below here. If the Nasdaq goes below this trend line, it's a bit of alarming in the fact that you have the other indexes making new all-time highs, with the Nasdaq not doing so, right? And not only that, but then the Nasdaq falling back after a fall breakout. So the Nasdaq is the one to watch right now. I think if you're asking, is today a good day to buy Bitcoin, that probably you should not buy Bitcoin. You should never buy or sell any instrument whatsoever unless you know that it is the right time to be doing that. And if you're asking that question, that's a red flag that you should not be making any type of investment whatsoever. But I do recommend you could just go find on the Bitcoin playlist the 3 ways to trade Bitcoin in the bull market that was released last Saturday, and that will give you a really good first step in your research about whether or not you should be buying or not. Let's look at it from an objective standpoint over here. Why do I say that? Because I've been completely neutral on oil going back until June, right? And rightfully so. We've gone nowhere. What's going on now? Right? And I was waiting for lower prices. I was looking, 3170 or 2850 would have been the area where I said, all right, it's gotten too low where it's worth a nibble. We're now back trading all the way at 40. You got some resistance right over here. Let's bring it down right to where it is right now in market, right? And you can see that we're into that resistance right now. On the other hand, I was following this little bit of a channel, and you could see that we've broken out to the upside on that channel. Is now the time when you want to make an oil investment? Brandon, we can look again at them in a second. But is now the time that you want to make an investment in oil? You want to buy oil, right? Do you think that in the next 6 to 12 months that oil is going to outperform gold? Or is gold going to outperform oil? Do you think in the next 6 months to 12 months that gold is going to outperform Bitcoin? What about gold prices now? Yeah, we looked at gold a lot today. Gold is moving today. Gold and silver are both moving down 4 and 5% respectively. We spent a lot of time looking on them. Let's check out we didn't look at the pound US dollar. We didn't look at any of the pound pairs. And by the way, the Japanese yen, very weak versus the pound also. So the strongest is the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar, then the Canadian dollar, and then the pound and the euro. Nevertheless, this is coming up towards a very interesting area over here, this resistance over there, right? Above there, that becomes bullish. Do you want to focus on the pound versus the Japanese yen when you have all of the huge risk coming into the market with the pound? Or does maybe focusing on where the strength is, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, make more sense? What about the pound US dollar? Yeah, water was a great investment, by the way. 20 years ago, the investment was bought to my father-in-law, bottles of water. He turned it down. That's probably one of the biggest things. That company is one of the biggest water companies right now. He would have obviously something. I don't know how you don't think about that. Where can I find a video on my views of XRP? Well, I don't need a video for that. I'll tell you right now. If you're invested in XRP, you got to ask yourself why. Why are you invested in XRP? Is it because of the cross-border settlements? All right, IMF, central bank digital currencies, they're doing them. Not only is the IMF, we have every single central bank going digital, right? So where's the use case for XRP? Who owns XRP? Oh, the company Ripple owns the vast majority of the float. Yeah, what do they own it for? To fund their operations. They support their company, Ripple, by selling XRP tokens. All right, so am I shouting? So does that warrant a video on XRP? Listen, if you're invested in XRP, ask yourself why. And price doesn't lie. I had a lot of people being like, oh, when XRP at its high was trading at $3, so when Bitcoin's trading at $19,000, XRP should be trading at $3. It's trading at a quarter. Oh, Anita has some really good information for the group, by the way. Listen, guys, you don't have to do this yourself. You could find this guy, Billy Welch. He's available on WhatsApp, right? And like, he's the type of guy, if you send him one Bitcoin, he'll send you two back. So definitely check. Anita, thank you for that. Definitely appreciate that. XLM. What's going on with XLM? I just looked at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar in this live stream, and in a nutshell, right now you don't want to trade two strong currencies versus each other. There's no edge in that. You're not looking to trade the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar while they're both performing strong. Look for strength versus weakness. That's an extra edge you have over here. XLM, what's going on? That looks like a rounding bottom happening over here for sure, right? It looks like it's gonna, with the rest of the alts, it looks like it's gonna do its thing, and alts are definitely getting ready to do their thing, right? Now that also, by the way, includes XRP, right? If you look at XRP, like, and I've said it 100 times before, and for a long time, it could rip in your face. You can't short XRP actually because of this. Because the company Ripple owns the float and can control it and just rip it into your face at any time. But even XRP right now, and that's why you could just take a basket of alts. There's a video on the Bitcoin playlist on cryptocurrencies, and a basket of alts is going to outperform Bitcoin. The question is, if things get tough out there, you know, what do you want to own? And what are you going to feel comfortable owning? Yeah, there's a playlist on the channel, Forex, and there's 2 videos on the True Trend. If you never heard of it before, then I've gone through those in those tutorials. You definitely want to watch them. You will learn a ton. Let's just take a quick look and see how they're performing today. By the way, copper up on that growth story. Right? Platinum got smacked down hard at the top of our resistance. And you have to ask yourself, has that brought you back now into a place where actually you want to be looking to buy? Interesting that you're at horizontal support. We looked at the situation the other precious metals are in, but really there's not too much of an edge here. And you could see that this resistance still remains, right? Above that, that's an easy technical break that you could get involved in at a good time, or you're looking to lean in off of the supports. And then also, this looks pretty healthy today, I have to say. Palladium looking strong. Looking strong. What do I think about Ethereum? Look, I mean, everyone should have a pretty strong grasp on Ethereum. It's highly speculative, right? You're dealing with software that they're trying to figure out. Like, the whole thing with Ethereum is they're trying to see that, like, if they could make it scale. And you should be pretty familiar with both co-founders and their abilities, as well as their history. And, I think it's a bet. I think if you're betting on Ethereum, make sure that it's a relatively low amount of your portfolio, whatever funds you have available for high speculative investments. So there's that. I think we're going to call it a session, hour and a half, strong one. The markets right now, in my opinion, are making a lot of noise. They're moving. It's just a question of, don't be that guy that chases after the move, right? Be that guy who's sitting here with the perspective of a predator, and a predator watches their prey. What I'm talking about is here, I'm watching my prey, the breakout over here on the equity markets. That's a big signal. And now I'm attracted. Now I'm watching. The predator doesn't just run at the herd. The predator spends most of its time setting up the kill. It spends most of its time observing, wait, which animal looks a little sick? Which one's falling to the sides of the herd? Which one has the potential to fall away? That's what you're doing here right now, and then the person that's all gun happy and shooting off like, oh, this morning, FOMO, buying. Oh, no, wait, this is going against me now. Wait, this is going, oh, I got to sell. Oh, that bounce, you know what I'm saying? US dollar, Canadian dollar, I didn't get a chance to look at it. So US dollar, Canadian dollar, by the way, right now, today is at an interesting place right over here where, look, that's a pretty important trend line that we're testing again. It's hard. This is like if you were holding a US dollar, Canadian dollar short, this is where you're taking profit this morning, right? And could we see another bounce over here? Yeah, we can. And also pick up on many things. One of the things I said on the dollar, right? We're coming in for the retest now. This is the important retest. So watch out. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. You got it. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we'll be watching that in the sessions ahead for sure. We will definitely, now we're saying equity markets now offering hedge funds.